You're listening to Newshour on the World Service of the BBC. This is Owen Bennett-Jones. There has been looting and vandalism in the Haitian capital Port-au-Prince or Port-au-Prince after the government doubled the price of fuel. That was a decision which provoked anger and despair, and as a result of it, the roads are now blocked with barricades of felled trees and burning tyres. The United Nations has urged the Haitian Prime Minister to find a political solution to set a date for new general elections as soon as possible. And the spokesperson for the United Nations Secretary General, Antonio Guterres, is Stéphane Dujarric. Now, he called for an end to the violence.
The Secretary General is deeply concerned about the current situation in Haiti, where civil unrest has brought the country to a standstill. The Secretary General is particularly preoccupied with the safety of all Haitians, including the most vulnerable, and calls for calm and maximum restraint. He urges all relevant stakeholders to take immediate steps to de-escalate the situation, avoid violence, and allow the Haitian National Police to fulfill its role to protect the population.
So that's what's being said at the international level, but what about on the ground? Let's get an on-the-ground account now from Dave Fils-Aimé. He runs a charity in Port-au-Prince which uses basketball to try to connect with teenagers, get them off the streets and give them some opportunities. He was actually born in Haiti, but was educated at Harvard and Yale universities in the United States. But rather than staying there, he went back to Haiti to try and help his country. So I spoke to him and asked, first of all, just what's going on the streets?
The government announced that fuel prices would go up to about $5 per gallon for gasoline, and that's really spurred a protest movement here in Port-au-Prince and throughout much of the country. You've seen barricades being erected in streets all over Port-au-Prince, and transportation has come to a halt in very few places that folks are able to move around. On Monday, I was trying to get to a hospital to have a minor ailment checked out, and I couldn't make it to the hospital. And that was the day when I came across one of the dead bodies that I saw on the street.
And I was hearing you live near the Minister of Justice, who sort of saw this pretty close up.
Exactly. So in the neighborhood where I live, the Minister of Justice lives in that neighborhood. Yesterday, a group of people tried to invade his home. And so the police had to come to prevent them from doing so. So the situation is very tense right now with folks really feeling like the government isn't protecting them, isn't providing them with the living conditions that they would want.
And if you talk to the protesters, what do they actually say? What sort of issues are they bringing up? Is it just the fuel price?
So the fuel price is the main thing that many of them bring up when you question about why they're cutting down trees to block roads. But some who I've talked to near my office, folks who I know, they've told me that the general living conditions of the Haitian masses is really what's pushing them to be partaking in these activities. You have inflation that's been to about 30%. Right now in 2022, the instability of the local currency. So all of these are issues that folks are dealing with right now in Haiti.
Have you been able to move around the streets, or you just stay at home?
No, I've definitely have to move around because I went about 3 days without having any electricity at home at all and having no internet connection. And so I had to go down to our office in Bois-Vernat, a neighborhood that's normally about a 10-minute car ride from my house. But with the current situation, I'm more often than not getting from my home to the office. And these past few days, I've seen some terrible things on my way from the house to the office. I've come across 2 dead bodies this week so far. Gang violence, you could be victim of a stray bullet. Even though the battleground of the gangs are miles away, you can still be victims of it. And now with the protests going on, you have this situation where streets are being barricaded and you can't get through.
Haiti does have these very powerful gangs. Are they involved in this unrest?
It doesn't appear that gangs are involved in this current situation that we're dealing with. It really feels like it's a popular movement, that the people are just fed up and they don't want gas prices to rise up to about $5 because we're in a country where most people live with less than $2 per day. So can you imagine raising gas prices to $5 per gallon? So just a very terrible situation right now that folks are dealing with. And the school year is supposed to start up in about 2 weeks, and a lot of parents just don't have the means yet to pay for their school fees, because you have about 3/4 of Haitian school children who go to private schools, since the government doesn't have enough resources to provide public schooling to all the students in the country. So just a very challenging situation right now that a lot of folks are dealing with, and they're expressing their frustration through this current protest that's going on right now.
The violence in Haiti has cost people lives, and obviously it's made life in the city more dangerous. Do you ever wonder? I mean, you've got a very high level of education, could clearly get work elsewhere if you wanted to. Do you ever wonder whether you want to stay in Haiti, or whether it's just too difficult?
I have to be honest that there are times when the situation is extremely difficult and challenging. But, I made the decision in 2020 to return to Haiti, to leave my job in Washington, D.C., to move back and to focus on running a nonprofit organization that works with some of the most disadvantaged youth in the country. So I feel like this work is extremely important. You need to provide guidance and education to young people so they know that they could become leaders who could bring transformative change to Haiti. You see some of these folks in the streets who are putting up the barricades and cutting down the trees. And for me, part of the issue is, although I understand their plight and the reason why they're doing that, but it's sort of counterproductive for you to be cutting down trees that we need. And while you're doing that, in the process, you're cutting down electric lines and internet lines, etc. Right. So in a way, they're shooting themselves in the foot. And I think the lack of education is a reason why a lot of these folks are acting the way that they're acting. And so I feel like the work that we're doing to educate the youth and to provide them with a way forward is extremely important.
And that was Dave Fils-Aimé, who runs a charity in Port-au-Prince, telling me about the looting and the vandalism and the barricades that he's seen after those fuel prices were doubled in Haiti. And he brings us to an end of this edition of Newshour. So thanks very much for listening. And from Owen, Bennett-Jones and the team here in London, goodbye.